It's time to play some stuff!
What's up, everybody? Well, another work week has come to a close, and I'm just kicking back and relaxing with some Guild Wars 2. Now, this is a game that I haven't made any videos about in a long time, because I haven't been playing it too much. I got through some of the personal story, and I got some more of it to go. About the high-level ones for level 80 characters and stuff. But here's my guardian, Jason Goodmain. At max level, looking like some paladin and that should be in the Navy or something with the color scheme I got going on and the ship anchor logo that I always use for my guilds in these games. My weapons of choice at max level are the hammer. There's some changes, of course, to greatswords, so they wouldn't be by far the best weapon out there. Now there's more parity between the various weapon sets for guardians. I just happen to prefer the utility of hammers. So I have more than just straight up attacks, so I can do like a little knockback, or I can restrict movement by drawing that little, this little divine circle thing here that enemies can't exit or enter. And of course there's random talk over there. I don't really like having tons of extra buttons to push, so I went with signets for my special moves, but I've got everything unlocked. I can always switch over from passive signets to active skills. And then, of course, there's elite skills, which I've got the dog attack. It's like the 3 dogs with enhancement shamans in WoW. But there's other interesting stuff, too, like Tome of Wrath, Tome of Courage, and other abilities like that. And as I continue gaining skill points, which is what happens after you hit max level, you keep gaining experience. Just like in the original Guild Wars, when you're at max level and you gain a level, you get a skill point instead of a level. So I can keep gaining skill points to eventually unlock all the skills, and then the character differentiation would be done via builds instead. Now, what I want to talk about today as I hang out here in Divinity's Reach, which, by the way, is a great-looking city. I mean, very few cities have the kind of sense of scope and grandeur that this city does. This is the kind of stuff that Blizzard didn't want to do with some of their cities, because they didn't want the cities to feel too big. But if you disagree with them on that, you're going to love this. This is, of course, the human capital. We're going to go run around in Queensdale for a bit, which is so stupid. Here I am, level 80, and I'm hanging out in the human starter area. But that's one of the neat things about this game. You can be a goody two-shoe and help new players out, or people leveling alts or something like that. And you can just be a goody two-shoe. You don't have to worry about kill stealing or something like that. What kind of armor set? Yeah, some people really have too much free time on their hands. They want to go around looking like giant golden robots. Off to Queensdale. So, at this warehouse job, there's a lot of gamers, and recently a lot of people have stopped playing World of Warcraft so much. I'm actually hearing more about people at work wanting to play some Guild Wars 2 instead, or check the game out, and things like that. I guess one of the things I'd like to talk about in this video, the pump house has been poisoned. We should go help clean that up. Every so often bandits try to poison this town's water supply, and then all the farmers cry because the irrigation system is spitting poisoned water all over the crops and ruining everything. But anyways, this is the village of Shaymore, which is actually a starter village for humans. You know, it's like the beta never ended sometimes with how much time I spend in Queensdale. Anyways, while we're running out there, a little something about World of Warcraft and stuff like that. I've actually canceled my account because I just got bored with the Kung Fu Pandas for now, so maybe I'll check it, do some more stuff with that game later, but I'm just so busy with this game and other games that I don't really feel any real compelling reason to play, even with a new patch on the PTR. Yep, everyone's gathering up the blobs of toxin to the chemist who can unpoison the water supply, hence the pump house being all green up there. Let's go fight a few slimes and turn some stuff in if somebody else isn't already doing that. So, a lot of people at World of Warcraft, that's a player. A lot of people, a lot of folks that were at this job who play World of Warcraft have been talking about how they're bored with the game too. Evade. What? Things can evade? Oh, it goes underground. I'm like, evade bug? Ah! Hey, look, another guardian another hammer guardian. Alright. Send the blob of toxin to the chemist over here. So, yeah, a lot of people are very bored with World of Warcraft at work. So, they're actually talking about other games, other RPGs, and some of them are even trying this game out, too. So that's good. Considering a couple months ago, folks were laughing at me for playing this game. So, yeah, I gotta go home and level my Guardian. Guardian? Yeah, Guild Wars 2. I'll stick with WoW. Funny how their attitude changes once they get bored with the Kung Fu Pandas. So, alright, well, I've contributed one blob of toxin to depoison the water supply. So let's talk about two things in this video. I want to talk about this game at max level as we take a look at this vista of the poisoned pump house here. It's also a nice way to get a nice little zoomy look on things with a zooming camera and stuff. I want to talk about Guild Wars 2 at max level, as well as talking to WoW players about this game if you're in a situation like mine where you get made fun of for playing this game. So let's start with the basics. So after greatswords got nerfed and were not far and away the best melee weapon for Guardians, I switched over to hammer because of the utility that it brings. So I've got this, I got a regular attack, I got a splash attack for AE, I got a knockback too that I can use to interrupt casters. Except this ooze thing gets too small to hit and stuff. Then I got the movement restriction ability that draws a little circle on the ground like this, if it'll actually show up. There we go. That enemies can't enter or exit. Nice little bit of crowd control. And I got a snare. I can chuck my hammer. Boom! He's immobilized. Some bozo's trying to run away. There we go. Oh. Oh, good. He's got everything he needs. Let's turn in that. So that's my primary weapon. For ranged and magic and secondary weapon, I use a staff, actually, even though a lot of people don't really like that. Staves are actually kind of underrated. They do, they have AE abilities. They have some AE abilities and stuff like that. But, namely, look at this main attack that attacks in a frontal cone. It actually has a tad bit of range to it, as you're seeing with me staying back a bit and still hitting this thing. Cha-ching! And of course, for the real ranged attacks and stuff like that, you can just do that. Of course, you can't see it because I wasn't shooting it at anything. But the thing is, this blob of light thing, like this, it recharges so fast. If you just keep an eye on the cooldown timer, you can launch one of these things every second or two. Of course, when the ooze comes out of the ground again, I'll shoot it. And of course, if you're not too far away, you can always use the basic one attack with the staff. I never really got the staff, and a lot of endgame guides were a little confused over what to do with the staff, but it's actually quite interesting. It's basically a somewhat ranged weapon that gives Guardians a little bit of AoE. So usually I'll run in with the staff, just attacking everything like that, and then when I get to melee range, I'll either charge in with my hammer lunge. Funny how Retribution Paladins can't even have something like this as a gap closer in WoW, and yet Guardians have it here. Yay, I got a gold medal for my involvement detoxifying the water supply. But basically what I'm looking at here is kind of like a little bit of weapons with a little bit of utility, and not just straight up damage, because Guardians don't have a lot of burst damage. It's mostly more consistent damage, but it's predictable. So they can do damage, but it's not going to be bursty. That's the word on the street. Another big thing, too, in a game that doesn't have mounts that expects you to use the fast travel system as your means of getting around, this little swiftness doodad, combined with the retreat charge skill, actually comes in handy when you just want to sprint all over the place.
Water should be drinkable again.
And all the slimes are dead. The pump house green stuff is slowly going to go away. And if we go down to the farmer fields, these things are actually spitting water again. How nice. Oh, here's another level 3 bandit that wants to come beat me up. Even with the down leveling, I can still two-shot her like that. Yay, the farmer fields are back to normal. This game's awesome. So, at max level, do you run out of stuff to do? Not really. Let me zoom out to my map here. My world completion is still only 59%. I still have heart quests I can do, reputation quests, skill challenges I can do, vistas that I can unlock, jumping puzzles. There's also dungeons and other events too, but I've only done one dungeon, namely, no, that's Caudicus Manor. I haven't done that one. I haven't done Twilight Arbor. I haven't done hardly anything. I've only done, not even the Citadel Flame. There it is, the Ascalonian Catacombs. I haven't done anything other than Ascalonian Catacombs for dungeons. This game does pull you in. It is a vibrant enough world that you can just go be a goody two-shoe and help other players out and get a full gaming experience out of that. So I can wander around from event to event, help people out, or I can go out to one of these instance thingies and get a group together and just take the instance on. As far as the Flame and Frost content goes, it's an interesting setup. You can only do the instance. There's outdoor events involving refugees that are caused by issues with the dredge and guys,
save my hay! If you can throw a bucket of water, you can help.
Yeah, that's one of the things with this event right here is everybody fights the bandits. Nobody puts out the fires these bozos are causing. When really, how much of a reward you get is based upon, no, I don't want to revive him. It's really dependent upon the hay. So somebody's got to, oh good, there's actually someone doing that. Somebody's got to be a goody two-shoe and douse the fires. So, be a firefighter. Not like you can't keep dropping the bucket and killing the bandits in between saving hay bales. But anyways, what was I talking about? Oh, this game is messing with me again. It's so easy to get all ADD while playing Guild Wars 2. Oh, I can't focus on anything because so much stuff is happening. Anyways, like I said, this game does pull you in. It's basically, it's a very dynamic world, of course. There's always stuff going on and things like that. And even in the outdoor world, you know, you won't think twice. Especially in Ore at max level. Ore has some pretty challenging outdoor mobs, which you usually don't think of challenge when it comes to outdoor mobs. Yeah, hide in the haystack, madame. People usually don't think of outdoor mobs when it comes to, or challenge when it comes to outdoor mobs, but in this game, when you get to the higher levels and you go to like Ore and stuff, you're fighting all those waves and waves of undead. They have like CC and they help each other out, they heal each other, things like that. It's not your typical disposable video game enemies here that basically just slap you until you die or something along those lines. So, yeah,
they'll keep coming, trust me.
Firefighter time.
And stand by.
I don't know if that's, is that a what character class is that? Ooh, engineer. A pistol engineer, hence all the special shots. Ooh! Firefighter to the rescue! Something else worth noting, one of the reasons why I switched to hammer from greatsword from my melee, from my martial weapon. Ooh, carrying Kabbalah's coat. What level? 77.
Thank you. My cows thank you.
And
everyone who eats beef and drinks milk thanks you.
The bandits have been foiled yet again. One of the reasons why I switched to the hammer is because of the extra utility, and it's a very defensive weapon too. I almost don't feel the need to have a spec where I have a shield because of that. Let's beat up this bird here and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Because the third attack is an aura that gives a damage reduction buff, and I have the trait selected so that any little circle thingies like that I make heal people. So you have reduced damage and you're healed. You have a little bit of a heal over time effect every time your hammer strikes the ground like this. So let me beat up these bandits right here. Attack number 3 draws the big circle on the ground, which heals and reduces incoming damage. Very, very defensive. Also, there's an element of might as well. I think that comes from my, which increases damage as well. So, a lot happens when a max level guardian swings his hammer like this. So, of course, this isn't really a good place to illustrate this stuff. Yeah, not the inventory. Let me bring up the trade screen and go over this stuff. Now, one of the things that you may run into when you're talking to World of Warcraft players is the traits as a talent system. And indeed, I've actually seen a former WoW player talk about how there are required traits in order for you to be competent as a guardian. Not true. The trait system in World of Warcraft, or the trait system in Guild Wars 2, is a lot weaker than the talent system in World of Warcraft. There's no subclasses that are created by this system. So here's what I'm running with right now. Valor, Honor, and Radiance. So in WoW terminology, Valor is the tough. Interestingly enough, Guardians can increase both their toughness and their critical damage in the same section. So there's a little bit of offense and defense in a lot of this stuff, or offense, utility, etc. Vitality and Healing, that's together for all the attacks that heal people. Then Precision and Condition damage. Precision is like your critical strike and stuff. So you'd think that I was like some kind of defensive fighter with Valor and Honor maxed out and a couple points in Radiance. But the fact is, this guy still hits quite hard, and while he's hitting hard, even if it's not very bursty damage, which Guardians aren't known for big burst damage, while he's doing that, there's a lot of extra utility that's available. So it's kind of a jack of trades type thing and stuff like that. But I wouldn't go into PvP with this build, of course. Of course, in the PvP part of the game, you can have separate builds and stuff like that and do everything up in the entrance to the mists and all that fun stuff. So when you're talking to people about World of Warcraft players, the best thing to say is that these are very different games. And let them actually watch YouTube videos of people playing this game and have them discover the changes on their own. Because the way this game works and the way WoW works, it's easy to say the same word when talking about either game, but mean two completely different things. It is kind of like that. I mean, the two are very detailed RPGs. There's plenty to do in both games. But the way the content is delivered is quite different. Oh, what's that event? Oh, catch rabbits and return them to... Those rabbits are eating all the watermelons! Do I really... Well, it's Easter. Why don't we... Oh, is that... Okay, let the new players catch the rabbits.
Get them locked up before they eat everything.
Yeah. Let's go over to one of my favorite parts of the game. The chime watermill, whose water wheel, up until a couple patches after release, actually spun the wrong way. But I'm glad to report the chime water wheel now actually obeys the laws of physics. As far as the aesthetics in this game, the impressionist painting thing is pretty nice. And despite only being a DirectX 9 game, this game does have some pretty nice visuals, even though I have the depth blur turned on, so the further away everything is, the more blurred it is, so it looks more like a painting. I'd say they definitely nailed the painting aesthetic. That's the thing. This game at max level, there's still plenty to do, and the content scales, and the Flame and Frost content actually scales in both directions. So if you have a low-level character and you go to one of the instances for Flame and Frost to advance the story, your character actually gets... Okay, enough beating up rabbits. Your character actually gets up-leveled to level 80 to experience the content. Oh yeah, that's right, I didn't get to talk much about Flame and Frost. Well, let's admire the beautiful view here and talk about Flame and Frost setup. It's a pretty interesting setup. It's like an account-wide achievement if you're talking to a WoW player. When you complete the content, it's completed. On the first character that completes it is completed and is talked about like a hero and stuff. And then, for your other characters and whenever you want to go back and do the content again, you can actually go back and get a it says, tell, what happened here, recap what happened. And you can actually run everything again. And stuff like that. So it's a pretty interesting system that balances not having one and done content, even though the camera's a little jittery. It's a nice little system that it hits the middle ground between one and done content and the world not really being affected by your actions. One of those classic problems with MMOs. How do you take the personal development segment or sections of an RPG and mix them in with a game that's online all the time where you have to keep things balanced for other players? So it's nice to see that the Flame and Frost content is addressing this long-running issue with MMOs. Like I said, though, Guild Wars 2 is very much what could be called a third-generation MMO, differing from the way things have been done before. My top concern for this game remains Guild Wars 2 has the potential to become the first and the worst. In other words, they pioneer these new ideas, but then they don't really do anything with them, and everybody else does things better than they do. And I've seen that as an issue before with other stuff. MySpace is a great example. They pioneered the kind of social media thing that Facebook and others have tried to copy ever since, and then they eventually became the worst. Now they're a lousy music site that I haven't been too impressed with. But that's another discussion for another day. In the meantime, well, it's pretty interesting that I'm still running around in Queensdale with a max level character and other alts coming up. I guess it's just a nice looking zone where there's always stuff to do, and if I'm ever bored I can just go feed some cows over at one of the farms or something like that. And overall, I really should go to other places in this game. I mean, the beta's over. This was the zone I was in primarily for the beta, and despite being the zone that I've played the most, sometimes just coming back to Queensdale is just worth it. It's just for nostalgia's sake, or just to relax and take it easy, or just admire the scenery and the beautiful weather, like what we've got going on here. So, there'll be more Guild Wars 2 videos later on, of course. I'm going to make Guild Wars 2 into a thematic game-based series, similar to what I did with World of Warcraft and Skyrim, with a custom intro and stuff. Oh, as you've already probably seen with this video's custom intro. I'll probably bring some of my other alts and other characters that I'm leveling up into this, and as this guy, who's max level, goes all around the world in his travels, probably get some of that on video too for you folks. So, yeah, Guild Wars 2. It's definitely an interesting game, and I'm glad I've gotten back into it. If only I could convince more of the WoW fans that I work with to switch over. Anywho, till next time, this is MultimediaJay signing off. Thanks for stopping by, and game on!